The digital stores have spent years teaching players to treat downloads like permanent property, even though every purchase still depends on one account remaining usable. Across modern gaming, that creates a direct conflict between security and ownership. Platforms must stop thieves from taking accounts, but they must also return purchases to verified customers after a takeover. Protect access too loosely and hackers win. One Brazilian Xbox player says that exact system failed after his Microsoft account was compromised and his digital library disappeared behind a security wall. According to his posts, Microsoft confirmed unauthorized access but still refused to restore the account. Worse, he says support effectively told him to create another profile and buy his games again. Today, we are examining what Microsoft reportedly knew, what its official recovery and transfer rules allow, what the posted ruling orders, and whether starting over was necessary security or merely the cheapest support response. The player says he created the account in 2011, meaning one compromise threatened roughly 15 years of purchases, saves, achievements, friends, and progress. Then an attacker enters the account, changes critical information, and leaves the paying customer outside the door. Microsoft sold the products, processed the payments, stored the transaction history, and controlled the account. Somehow, the same company allegedly became unable to reconnect those records with the person who paid for them. How can a platform recognize somebody during every sale, then lose confidence when that person asks for access back? Before going further, the evidence needs a clear warning label. Most details about the compromise and support conversations come from the player's public posts. Meanwhile, he posted an image and English translation of what he identifies as the ruling alongside Rio de Janeiro case number OEA-744.26, 8002. Public case indexing results list João Pedro Neva Nasser against Microsoft's Brazilian division under that number. Publicly, Microsoft has not fully explained its investigation or presented its version of each support exchange. Therefore, the player's description should not be treated as a complete technical record. Specifically, he says app-based two-factor authentication was active when the account was compromised. He also says Microsoft acknowledged that unauthorized access had occurred. However, the available material does not reveal how the intruder entered, which credentials changed, or whether any protection technically failed. Still, Microsoft controls the recovery process that follows a reported takeover, and that process is the real subject here. Two-factor authentication apparently protected the account so well that the intruder entered while the owner remained outside holding both factors. More importantly, that joke highlights the central problem. Security that freezes the victim while preserving the damage is only half a solution. Separately, Microsoft provides an account recovery form, a sign-in helper, and guidance for compromised accounts. Official support pages explain that frontline agents cannot send password reset links or directly access and change protected account details. Fraudsters impersonate owners, and careless recovery can hand valuable accounts to convincing thieves. Nevertheless, the existence of a recovery system means the criticism is not that Microsoft offers no process. Rather, the player's complaint is that the process allegedly recognized suspicious access without producing usable recovery. That limitation may explain why an ordinary representative could not press one button and restore everything. Yet it does not explain why the specialist process allegedly ended with permanent loss instead of a higher-level human review. Officially, Microsoft states that personal accounts cannot be merged or combined. Furthermore, game progress, gamertags, purchases, and account balances cannot normally be transferred from one personal account to another. Consequently, a fresh profile is not a repaired profile. Telling this customer to start over was like telling somebody to move house while every possession remained chained inside the old basement. From his position, that feels less like recovery and more like a robbery followed by a sales pitch. Picture someone stealing your car, the dealership confirming suspicious activity, and then offering financing on the same model. Here, the alleged solution restarted the customer instead of restoring the customer. Chronologically, his original Reddit post describing the dispute appeared roughly 3 months before the court update. Months passed while he documented messages, challenged the response, and pushed the complaint beyond ordinary support. Modern ownership depends on a platform keeping one identity usable for as long as the buyer expects access. Unlike a disk sitting on a shelf, a downloaded game remains tied to credentials, databases, license records, automated checks, and company policy. Ownership language also becomes slippery because storefronts say, buy, while service agreements describe licenses, suspensions, restrictions, and account conditions. Ordinary players still expect purchased games to remain available unless they committed fraud, violated rules, or received refunds. Problems expose the hidden bargain. The customer receives speed and simplicity while the platform keeps final control. Real ownership should include a workable method for proving purchases and recovering them after identity theft. Next came the customer support maze. Initially, the player says he received a standard rejection message stating that restoration would not happen. Later, another representative reportedly told him the rejection was automated and the investigation remained open. Apparently, the first machine declared the account dead, while the next voice suggested the first machine had spoken too soon. Customers should not need to decode whether a corporate email is final, temporary, automated, mistaken, or simply another loop. Faced with conflicting answers, the player brought the matter into Brazil's consumer protection and court system. Based on the player's posted translation, Microsoft was ordered to unblock the account within 15 days. Additionally, non-compliance with that order carries a daily fine of 150 Brazilian reais, capped at 1,500 reais. Independently, the posted text awards 2,000 reais for moral damages, adjusted for inflation and joined by statutory interest. After the judgment becomes final and unappealable, failure to pay a certain sum within 15 days can add a 10% penalty. Under the cited small claims procedure, no court costs or attorney fees were imposed in the ruling. Narrowly, this decision concerns one Brazilian dispute and does not automatically rewrite Microsoft policy worldwide or guarantee another customer the same result. Cynically, the missing recovery button was apparently hidden inside a courtroom. Maybe Microsoft had legitimate concerns about handing a valuable profile to the wrong person after an account takeover. Security teams must avoid rewarding persuasive imposters, especially when payment data, email, cloud services, and game libraries may be connected. Critically, a recovery process that cannot distinguish the verified owner from the attacker has not completed its purpose. Worst case, it leaves the victim carrying the entire loss while the platform points toward policy. So was restoration genuinely impossible, or was rejecting one customer simply cheaper until a judge changed the consequences? Court pressure does not magically rewrite software or reveal Microsoft's internal technical limits. Instead, it can change which department receives authority, budget, or permission to solve the problem. Legal obligation transformed a support dead end into an action item. During the proceedings, the player claimed Microsoft responded with 12 lawyers and a defense of roughly 300 pages. Crucially, those numbers come from his statement and are not independently confirmed by the material reviewed for this script. 12 lawyers could apparently defend the blocked account, like nobody in ordinary support could unlock it. Possibly Microsoft spent more effort explaining its position than anyone spent finding a workable recovery path, although no evidence establishes the company's legal costs. By contrast, the player says he used Brazil's public legal assistance and paid no legal fees. Importantly, he says money was not his main demand. Primarily, he wanted his account and purchase content returned. Moreover, he says the judge added the damages award even though he had only asked for restoration. Substantively, the ruling matters because it rejects permanent loss and a replacement profile as acceptable outcomes. At checkout, the button says buy. Online reaction made the case feel less isolated. Several Reddit users claimed they had received similar responses after compromised Microsoft accounts. Others said Microsoft acknowledged suspicious activity, but still directed them toward replacement profiles. These comments are personal reports, not independently verified cases. They do not prove a coordinated policy or a systematic scandal. Collectively, however, repeated descriptions of the same outcomes suggest wider frustration with Microsoft's recovery process. When several customers report the same useless answer, the problem stops looking like one lazy employee and starts resembling company policy wearing a fake name badge. Admittedly, Microsoft could argue that every takeover involves different evidence, risks, and recovery limits. Fairly, those differences matter because one weak recovery decision can expose another customer to theft. Regardless, users deserve a process that explains what was checked, why verification failed, what can be appealed, and who can make a final human decision. Otherwise, automation becomes a wall that produces corporate language without producing accountability. Finally, this case lets us answer the question promised at the beginning. Was buying everything again proven to be a necessary security measure? No public evidence establishes that conclusion. Available records do not reveal whether Microsoft's support team lacked technical ability, internal authority, sufficient evidence, or motivation to restore the account. What the posted ruling shows is that the court rejected permanent loss and a replacement account as acceptable solutions. Notably, The document discusses future motions and the point when the judgment becomes final and unappealable. Accordingly, the result should not yet be described as a confirmed final victory beyond all possible challenge. Likewise, the order requires Microsoft to restore access, but the public material does not clearly establish that restoration was already completed when the update appeared. Properly phrased, the player received a favorable ruling ordering Microsoft to unblock his original account. Restoring that account should return access to its linked library, although the posted excerpt does not separately list every game, save, achievement, or item. Physically, a disk can remain on a shelf, although modern games may still depend on updates, servers, accounts, or online checks. Digitally, a game lives more completely behind a login, a license record, a platform database, and a company decision. Misplace the password and recovery might save you. Lose the account itself and every connected purchase can fall through the same hole. Only legal action produced an order requiring Microsoft to return access. Xbox did not face meaningful danger from a damages award worth roughly $400 at the reported conversion. It faced a court telling the company that, make another account, was not an acceptable replacement for recovery. Ultimately, the favorable ruling offers hope, but it also gives every digital buyer a warning. You do not fully control a library when the store controls the door, the lock, the key, the records, and the appeal process. This player may recover his games because a court ordered Microsoft to act, but ordinary customer support never delivered that result.